And the breaking news, which I don't think it's necessarily breaking news, but if you learn anything from cable news networks down in the States and even up here, you just keep calling it breaking news. Like for 24 hours, it's breaking news. If you happen to be on the air, you get to go with breaking news. John Tavares has broken a finger. Happened last night. We don't know exactly when.
Morgan Riley hit him with a slap shot or wrist shot. Morgan Riley shot.
That's what most people are thinking. And he stayed in the game. He scored a goal late, and he was on the ice final minute and a half when they were buzzing, but they never really actually got great opportunities to score and tie the game up. But he's out for a minimum of 2 weeks.
Very simple.
I got to think it's more than that.
Jason Spezza, go play second line with Mitch Marner and Mikheyev or Moore or somebody.
I'm not sure he puts him up that high in the lineup. How do you go from the press box to the second line center?
How long do you, what do you think Jason Spezza has done the majority of his career? Don't you think this is a situation where you say, you know what, turn back the clock for 2 weeks?
Can he do that?
Huh?
I don't know if he can do that.
He can do that for 2 weeks.
I think you move Kerfoot up. That's your guy. You're committed to him for 3 more years. You paid him.
Brian, he's a third-line player.
Yeah, but Spezza's not even a top 12 right now. He's not even playing. Just because you were something 10 years ago.
Well, go trigger something. Say, look, we need you for 2 weeks to do something.
See, I think you're looking at the wrong guy. You're looking at the wrong guy.
Oh, so Freddie the Goat's going to go up there?
No. Higher than that. 34. Let's go.
Well,
Let's
look
go.
what Sidney Crosby's done in the absence of Malkin.
Exactly. Now, Sidney Crosby's a top 10 player all time. He's done this before. He's done it throughout his career. He's consistent. He's a machine. Malkin has been out now for about a week and a half. They are undefeated. They're 4-0. He's dragging that team into playoff contention. Colorado had not lost a game all year. They go into the Igloo last night. Crosby goes, "You're not walking out with a win." $11.6 million. You're one of the top 3 or 4 highest paid players in the league. You're 10 years younger. You're not as good. Like, Sid is Sid. I'm not trying to pretend as if Matthews can just morph into a top 10 player all time, but that's the guy I'm looking at. That's the guy.
I totally
agree. Prove it to me. Prove it to me and prove it to Leafs Nation that you can drag your team.
That's right. And don't chip in with one goal and a 4-1. I'm talking be the best player on the ice. There was a game in Buffalo last year where he was the best player on the ice every time he stepped on the ice, and I can't get that game out of my mind because he was that dominant. And he's got to do that for 2 weeks.
But that was a bad team. Like, I need him dominant on Saturday night.
Of course.
Boston's in town. You play like you did last night or last week against Tampa, Boston's going to come in here and embarrass you.
He was good for 17 minutes last night, tops. Like the last period, he kind of showed flashes, had some cycles. First 30 minutes of that game,
he was just kind of floating around.
Yeah, he was out for a skate.
And that's been the story of his career. You know, I love him as a player. And
you love him as a player because he's
been
one
inconsistent.
Of the most dynamic goal scorers of all time.
Right. You can see it. It's not like it's all projection. It's not like it's a scenario where he's never shown you flashes before. He is more than capable of being the best player on the ice pretty much every night.
Yeah.
Outside of maybe a game in Edmonton, maybe a game in Pittsburgh, game in Colorado, there aren't too many players in this league where you should say, I'm not sure he can get to that level.
Yeah.
So
I guess what you're saying is we don't want to look at him and say, yeah, he was opportunistic, had a goal and assist. Be the best player on the ice.
Elevate your game. And I actually think this could be a blessing in disguise. No one wants to see players get injured, especially not important, prominent players like John Tavares. But this team has been just going through the motions through 2 weeks. They're inconsistent. They lack identity. They look like they're dealing with their own scar tissue. They look like they've accomplished something and they're bored with October hockey. Meanwhile, they haven't accomplished anything outside of in the negotiating room. They've been paid like they've accomplished a lot of things. But on the ice, they have not accomplished anything collectively as a team. And it's a perfect opportunity for Matthews, for Marner, for Nylander, for Morgan Riley, for Freddie, for these guys who all believe that they're really good players and collectively a really good team. Here's your opportunity to prove it. You're down a big, big guy. Go out there and do not lose a step.
I couldn't agree with you more. But as far as filling in for that position, I think Jason Spezza is the perfect guy to do it. The coach probably doesn't like him enough. And I know you think I'm nuts from saying, how do you go from the press box to that? But that is what he's done his whole career. He's been a frontline guy. It's not like you can forget that. Just say, give me 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks of your best.
Oh, it's not that he'd be overwhelmed.
No.
He's played 1,200 games. His whole life, he's been that guy. I just don't know if he's capable of doing it anymore.
Well,
like, that's what I'm saying.
For 2 weeks? That's what they're asking, for 2 weeks. They're not asking him to say, bring us the cup, like be the guy. For 2 weeks, fill in and do a job. He can do that.
I'd like to see it.
I'm fully confident he can do that.
I'd give him that opportunity. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I think...
Because you put Kerfoot there, or you put Freddie the Goat there, Mitch Marner for 2 weeks is going to be saying, I don't ever see the puck. I give it to somebody. I don't get it back. Just give it a shot for 2 weeks.
I'm with you on that, but I don't want to hear that out of Mitch Marner because you're the 7th highest paid player in the league. If you're a top 10 paid player in the league, that would suggest you should be a top 10 type player. Top 10 type players don't rely on their line mates. They don't need line mates.
And that's been said about Mitch his whole time in Toronto. He drives the line, so go ahead and drive something.
Exactly. It's not going to be easy. And over time, you're not going to have to worry about it because Tavares is going to return and you're going to get right back on the ice with your boy. And long term, you do need help. Like over the course of your career, Gretzky had Curry. Lemieux had Yager and Francis, and like these great players still get to play with great players, and that's going to help you. But when you're in a bind like you are right now, Mitch Marner's got to elevate. Mitch Marner's got to prove he's worth every penny. And that means you don't go MIA for 2 weeks and say, well, my guy's gone. If you get paid almost $11 million a year, it should be almost irrelevant who you play with over a short span. You should still be able to go out and make an impact. So I'm looking at those two guys.
Yeah.
The faces of the organization in the past 3 years, 3.5 years, 34 and 16. Both of you had to get your money. You wanted your money, you got your money.
Okay, and you know what?
Let's go out and prove that you're worth that money.
If things aren't clicking in game Saturday night against the Boston Bruins, put 34 with 16.
I'd love to see it.
And then just say, here's Nylander, Spezza, and Mikheyev. You're our second line.
That's what I would do right there. I'd load up. Here's your opportunity to load up.
Yeah, play against Bergeron every shift and be better than them.
Right. Colorado does it. Tampa does it. There's a lot of teams in the league. Right now, Pittsburgh effectively is doing it because it's Crosby and Gensel, then just a bunch of guys. It's not like Mike Sullivan's like, all right, I guess we got to split these two up for some balance.
There's no one to split up.
There's no splitting up, right? And that's going to test Babcock because that is not the mentality. He very rarely adheres to that type of pressure.
I know. If it doesn't start the game like that, it'll rarely change.
Yeah.
He's made 2 changes 2 games in a row, but that was...
He's all about balance. Like, he's obsessed with balance. And it's a philosophy I can understand.
Okay, but right now, balance isn't a big thing for them right now. It's not even really an option. Like, just...
You're dealing with 3 injuries, too. Like, Hyman and Dermott are players on this team.
Yes,
that can help this team. So it's just one more guy now who's out. But they're 4-3-1. They've beaten 4 bad teams. The 3 big boys that they've played, they've lost to. Now you got Boston here on Saturday night. You're at Boston on Tuesday. Let's go. I think it's actually potentially a blessing in disguise because it's time for a wake-up call on this team. And it might have to be because the captain's not going to be here. Let's see what you got.
Couldn't agree more.
Let's see what you got. Because they got to prove that they're worthy of being considered one of the top 7 or 8 teams in the league.
Yeah, last night they were a top 7 or 8 team in the league, and they fell asleep for 5 to 7 minutes, and it cost them the hockey game.
Right.